On the album, I want to start off by saying that because this is an absolutely amazing album, so congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about what you guys were wanting to achieve with this album. Was there something that you guys all talked about that you had in mind for this album when you first started with it?
Actually, not really quite the way it turned out. What we wanted to do is like we want to continue to get a more atmospheric sound, maybe, and basically me and the guitar player Morgan, we write all songs together in the rehearsal room. I do the drumming, he do the guitar parts, the riff is a riff master, and we put the songs together, and then everybody else add, and we started with using, or actually we started with Chuck Moll from Dog Funeral as a member. He did 2 solos on the album before this one, Octagram, and we really liked work with him. We liked the sound. It was a bit different than our normal solo sound. So starting up, giving him free hands to do what he wanted to do with the songs that we wrote. And also one other thing is I'm a quite shitty drummer, you know, and and this time I wanted to have a more driven sound. I wanted to have a better drum player. So we contacted Chris from. He plays in several other bands. He's a really good drummer. He's also a really cool guy, and this is also important when you let somebody into the band, because I mean, I'm 52 years old. I don't have time for drama or somebody that doesn't fit in. It has to be like a good vibe. And the thing is that he wasn't allowed to hear me drumming. So what I did is that we did a demo version of the songs, send him only with guitar. And he was really skeptic to that because that puts a lot of pressure on him. But I said, do it the way you think it should be done. And he's changed some of the songs completely, from mid-tempo to up-tempo and so on. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but the thing that really changed the sound and made this album what it is I guess thanks to Carl Heston and his theremin, is it called theremin? And his keyboard. Because that was something that we didn't plan. And when he tried out for 1 or 2 songs, I had to listen to it 5 or 10 times. If I didn't know in the beginning if I liked it or not, because it changed the sound so completely. And after a while, I was like, okay, this is exactly what's been missing. And this is really new and fresh in this kind of music, like sound from the 70s, almost like Hawkwind or something, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, we have to have this all over the place. So he also got free hands. So I sent him a demo, like, do whatever you want to do. And then it turned out what it became. And also something new we tried out is like choirs. So he was like doing some back choirs. He was singing with me, and it was like, I don't know, almost like the Bee Gees sometimes, you know?
Yeah. that was actually my next. That was actually my next question. Bringing in things like the organ and the theremin and the choir, was that all part of the plan to try and get that more atmospheric sound?
Actually, it wasn't the plan, but it turned out great, and I'm so thankful that we had the courage to go and go outside the box, because that was something we talked about. Like, let's go crazy. Mephisto's never been like a genre like death metal, black metal, thrash metal. We're all over the place, and that can be good, that can be bad. But I think, especially with this album, I think it's fantastic sound. And also one important thing is like we really entered and took time to go into a studio and work with professional people.
Definitely, that was a question I was going to ask later on. You got to work with Mike Weed and also Simon Johansson. What were they like to work with, and what do you feel they brought to the album as well?
I would say, first of all, really cool guys. They're from the northern part of Sweden, and they have this accent when they speak. It's a very calm accent and very down to earth people. So we became friends during the process, and I met them a few times, but I wasn't a friend with them. Mike did most. I would say that Simon was more into like putting the studio together, and then me and Mike worked together through all the process. And it's so nice to have somebody outside to come up with ideas, because sometimes you get stuck in the way you want the song to be. So it's really refreshing. And his experience, he's a great guitar player. He helped us with the sound, and and maybe he's a little bit too much of a perfectionist. So sometimes I have to say, no, let's go with this thing. Yeah.
Now, I know that Sweden didn't have the lockdowns that a lot of other countries did have, but did the pandemic affect the way that you guys worked on this album at all?
Yeah, I would say that, okay, we didn't have a strict lockdown, but a lot of things were closed and people stayed at home. So, it was quite a boring time, and this, of course, also made it possible to get this. First of all, most of the songs were written before the pandemic, but then we had time to really put some extra finish to them, if you know what I mean. And I guess the thing, and a lot of studios were actually booked, because a lot of them were like, okay, we're not going to tour. Especially quite big bands, like, okay, what are we going to do now? Nothing is going to happen. So everybody went into the studio. Everybody made a new album. And this wasn't something that we planned doing because of the pandemic. But we had the luxury to have the studio for ourselves for a couple of weeks, because it's quite a new studio that Simon has built.
Did the pandemic come at a bad time for you? Like, the band was just getting such, being noticed and getting such great feedback after your other second album came out in 2019. Did it come at a really bad time for you guys just when you were starting to get traction amongst fans again?
It's hard to say. I don't think that it did come. A pandemic always comes in a bad time, I guess.
Yeah.
But we had nothing planned, to be honest. Maybe the pandemic was actually good for us, because then we had, for example, Chuck Moll wasn't on tour with Dark Funeral. I knew they were also going into the studio, but that was after us. Actually, this album we started recording, in the middle of the pandemic, the big first wave of the pandemic. So this album was actually done and recorded in April last year. So and this has been the hard part, not getting it out because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
That I would say affected us, because the pressing, everybody's gonna come out with a new album. No label were interested in putting our album out because they were like fully booked. So in that way, yes, I guess that happened.
Definitely. Now, what are your plans now with the album coming out, or the album's actually out? So what are your plans now with the new sound? Are you hoping to get out there and do some shows, or what are the plans from now on?
Yeah, okay. The plan for now on is, like, as I said, we wrote this album 2 years ago. We recorded it 1 year ago. Or we wrote the songs 2 years ago. We recorded the album 1 year ago, and I mean, last summer it was mixed, mastered, and ready to be out. So it's like a bit of history for me. I mean, I'm really tired of this album.
Yeah.
But it's so nice to have it out and having good reactions. We're not a touring band. We probably never will be a touring band. We will do a few shows if we get the possibility, if it suits. I mean, we're 6 members. And it's hard to put the band together in a way. But I would love to go out and do a few shows. But that's, like, it has to be a good timing for everybody.
Yeah.
I would more say that I'm already starting writing the next album, and the thing is that now we found a sound, so I'm gonna have to rethink how I will write the new songs, because there's so much happening, so everything has to fit into the song, if you know what I mean.
Definitely. Yep.
Yeah. So that's the plan. Start writing, and hopefully already next year we can have a new album out.
Awesome.
And it is the fun part of making the thing that is fun is actually like writing new songs. That's what I think is fun.
Definitely. Well, Robert, we are going to play the Demigod on our show right now. So what would you like to say to everybody out there before they take a listen to this amazing track, but also before they go out and grab a copy of the album as well?
I would like to say that's Demigod is quite a bit different than the other songs, because it has this that we call the Gothenburg sound, and we're a Stockholm band. You can especially hear it on the drumming. It's a bit like up tempo. It wasn't written. It was written as when I did the first demo. It was a mid tempo song, and then Chris made it an up tempo song. Let me put it that way. And I hope you like it. I like the chorus. I like the way. The bridge and the song and everything.